Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander tough rules and cool interactions, episode 65. Today's episode is going to continue last episode's theme and focused on some artifacts. We have gotten a whole bunch of artifact support lately, and a lot of players are building decks with commanders that make token copies of artifacts, so I figured that this was a really good interaction to cover. First card that we're going to be looking at is Mirrorworks, which is an artifact for 5 generic mana, and it says, whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 generic. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. This is a really powerful way to double up on the value of some of your artifacts, both creature and non-creature artifacts, and thankfully, since it's actually creating the token copy on the battlefield and not copying the artifact spell while on the stack with an effect from something like Lithoform Engine's third activated ability that copies a permanent spell, this means that cards like Anointed Procession will actually double up the number of tokens that the Mirrorworks creates. Okay, now the second card that we're going to be looking at is Panharmonicon, and it's an artifact for 4 generic mana, and it says, if an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So the scenario is this. You have already got a Mirrorworks out in play, and then you play your Panharmonicon. Will the Panharmonicon cause you to get 2 triggers from your Mirrorworks? Usually, when doing these sorts of questions, I have bad news, but in this case, we do get the result that we want. Panharmonicon does not have a triggered ability, nor does it have a replacement effect. It is just a static ability that is instantly applying once it's on the battlefield. So this is what causes the Mirrorworks to get its extra trigger. So now you have the original Panharmonicon and the token copy that the Mirrorworks has created. Just remember that Panharmonicon isn't a doubler effect, just one adds an additional trigger. So with the 2 Panharmonicons out, you would now have 3 total triggers, not 1 doubling to 2 and then 2 doubling to 4, just 1 plus 1 plus 1. If you happen to have out an Anointed Procession when doing this, you would have ended up making 2 token copies of Panharmonicon, which means that your next ETB trigger will see 3 total Panharmonicons and therefore provide you with a total of 4 triggers. Those of you who have watched my videos know that I love to have these little extra scenarios here towards the end, so here's one. In the previous scenario, you already had out the Mirrorworks and then you played the Panharmonicon. Would anything change this result if both of the cards were to enter the battlefield at the exact same time? Like, for example, you resolve a Genesis Wave and reveal both of these permanents to enter at the same time. My next episode, or at least one of the upcoming ones, will be a further expansion on some artifacts and how Panharmonicon interacts with them, and we're going to dip our toes more into linked abilities. So keep an eye out for that. Anyhow, that's all I've got for today's episode. As always, I hope that all of you found this video to be entertaining at least, and I hope that a few of you have even learned something about these crazy rules in this great game of Magic. Have a good one. Ta-ta.